So for today, our topics will be comprehensions, list comprehensions, dictionary comprehensions, and set comprehension. After that, we'll learn functions, how to define functions and use them in Python. Then lambda functions, and then there are some inbuilt methods on which can be applied on iterable data types like list or dictionaries, which are map, filter, reduce. Then we'll look at exception handling, like try, catch, block,
You're not
and lock.
sharing the screen.
And then there is file management. So,
Yeah, Prathamesh, I think screen is not shared.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Thanks. All right. So let's get started with comprehensions. So what is comprehensions? Let's say I want to create a list from number 1 to 10. Now, what will like we all know what will be the basic method to do this is using for loop and range functions, right? We can do it like for I in range 1 to 11 for going up to 10, right? So we'll specify 11, and then I will just create a list here. I will append this I to this list, right? So this is how I have added 1 to 10 numbers in our list. But using list comprehensions, this can be done in just one line. Okay. So how we can do that is, so what happening here is we're appending I to the list. So any number in this list is I, for which in range 1 to 11. So what will be the number in 1 to 11? That will be just I for a specific moment, and it will be in our list. So using same logic, let's say I want to create a list B for same numbers 1 to 10. I will create a list B, okay, and I want to append I to this list, right? I, which will be for I in range 1 to 11. Now, if you look at the syntax, what this does is it will iterate over this loop for I in range 1 to 11, and for each value of I, it will just append it here, right? So there is a variable I which can be specified after it here. Do you get the logic of comprehensions? Like there is a random any variable, so we just append it, like write it in that list or anything where we want to append it, and then just write logic for it from where it is coming down. So for this list comprehension, this I, it's coming from this next statement for I in range 1 to 11. Yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. Well, readability, first of all. Like you don't have to write this 2 lines to do one thing. Well, we are just appending here I, but what if you have to append squares? Let's say I have to do I into I, or there are any more operations. Like I have to write if loop in this. I want to only append elements which are divisible by 2. So if I write if I percent 2 equal to 0, right? This will only append elements which are divisible by 2. Now, how we can write conditions in here? So it's same for I in range 1 to 11, and we want to append if I percent 2 is equal to 0. Yes, actually not optimization. Yeah, it will take same amount of time. I haven't measured it, but I hope so, because it's working it same, but it's just in one line, right? Instead of writing these 3 lines, I'm writing it in one line. So this is just we are appending I, but maybe you have to append some many more functions like checking anything else or appending squares of numbers. Yes. It's not compulsory to use comprehensions, but it's good to know. So yes, it will go in sequence. Like for example, here a list is starting. So what we are appending to list is I. Now what is I? So the logic for I is written after I. So I is for I in range 1 to 11. Okay, so I is what? Any number in 1 to 11. Any means all numbers in 1 to 11. Now if I percent 2 is equal to 0 means if I is divisible by 2, then only this I will be here. Okay, now I haven't tried this, but let's try else I plus 1. Okay, so this won't work. There is only a condition. Now if I print D and we'll run it again. Okay, you're seeing both are same. So comprehension is just another method to creating a list which can be written in one line instead of writing for loop.
Comprehensions are
No, there are list comprehensions, dictionary comprehensions, and set comprehensions. You can use it on anything, any data type, on iterable data type. Okay, so let's move on to dictionary comprehensions. Let's say you have a list equal to 1, 2, and 3. Now let's say you have to create a dictionary where you are having a key and the value of that key will be its cube. So if key is 1, the cube will be 1. If a key is 2, then cube will be 8. Right? So what will be the basic logic for this? Will be we will be iterating on each of this value, then we'll be calculating its cube and then adding it to dictionary. Let me just write a like basic code. Let's say our dictionary is a CD for cube dictionary. Now for I in A, CD of I equal to I times I times I. Print CD. Okay, here as you can see, we are creating a dictionary where key is any number in the list and its value is its cube. So this can be anything. This is just a random logic. It may be square or it can be anything. You just have to like randomly create a dictionary. I'm just doing this cube for explaining it. Now this can be done in one line using dictionary comprehensions. So how we do dictionary comprehensions is let's say I have another dictionary CCD, comprehensions cube dictionary. Now it's a dictionary, so colon. Now what will be its value will be I, and the, sorry, its key will be I, and its value will be I cube. I times I times I. Now what is this I? This I is for I in A. For I in A. Now let me print. Yes, both are same, right? So these comprehensions are a bit too much to learn at first. Like it may be confusing or it may be hard to think how to do it. When you do practice it, whenever you will practice for many reasons, create a list, create a dictionary, you'll get around it. So I'm not expecting you to like understand it in first moment, but try it, it will get better as you practice it. So same way you can create a set and tuples, but I guess this will be just repetition of same thing. You can just append any element, dynamic element, and just write logic for it after it. So I can even write if after this I guess if I is less than 3. Yep. So if conditions also work here in dictionary also. Which one? Print. Which? Indentation. Okay, so there is no reason to give indentation here because it's executing in main code, right? It's main code. When we give indentation, when we have a scope, right? So there is not any condition here. You are just writing code in one line.
Like that there is a formula.
Yes, if we did print in this indentation, print will run again and again for this complete for loop. Right? So comprehensions, I guess this is it for comprehensions. If you don't understand anything at any point, just ask me. Try to tell it better. Okay, now functions. So what is a function? Function is just a small snippet of code or a logic which can be used many times, multiple times in anywhere or in our code. So how we define functions in Python is using def keyword. So def or define, and then we write function name. Let's say I wrote add. Now add is a function name. Then we give parenthesis and colon. Okay, so as you can see, there is colon. So obviously this function is going to have its scope, right? So whatever logic is in it, it will just come after this colon and with indentation. When I press enter, there is already 4 spaces before it. Now what addition will do is, let's say I'm just printing 5 plus 5. So this is just defined our function. Like we use def keyword, function name, give parenthesis, colon, and then wrote logic for it. Yeah. Now we have to call it. Now to call a function, we just write the name of our function and give parenthesis. Now this will call our function. We run it. So 5 plus 5, 10. As you can see, we are having 10 in our output. But this is just a static thing. Like we are adding 5 plus 5. What if we want to add some dynamic numbers, which we can provide to our functions, and then function will add them. So these are called as parameters. Let's say I want to add 2 numbers a and b. So we give them in our functions parameters. Now these functions will take 2 values. One is a and b, and will print addition of a plus b. Okay. Now when we call our functions, we need to provide this a and b. Now let's say I have provided 2 and 3. Right? Now 2 and 3 will be 5. Addition of them will be 5. As you can see, this is 5. And now what if I just provide one value, 2? Then it will throw error. Here, add missing one required positional argument b. So a is already there, but b isn't there. So this is an error. Now I can define this parameter in a way such that if user only gives a, b value should be like default value. If user doesn't give b, then b should have itself its own value. So how we can assign a default value is just write here a default value. Let's say b equal to 0. Now whenever user will set add 2, now age value will be 2, and there isn't a b value here passed in function calling. So b's value will be assumed as 0 because we are assigned it as a default value for our function. Now if I run it, it won't give me any error. As you can see, we are just getting 2 because b is 0 by default. And if I provide here b, let's say I provided 5, now this b's default value will get overridden. Right? Now b is 5. Now its addition will be 7. Here. Okay. And we can't do like here if I give a equal to 0 and b will be blank. Now this is not the right way to define functions. We cannot give default value to the previous parameter and the next are just left blank. This will again throw error. Okay, so we can only give a default value to either both, and if you want to give only to specific parameter, this parameters comes after the parameter which don't have default value. So let's say I'm giving a equal to 0, b equal to 0. Now this should 7. Yeah, it here. If I write only c, then it will give error. If you specify any default value for this, because as you did for this previous parameters, then it will not show any error. C equal to 0. As you see the right. No, it's still the same thing, right? Because suppose let's say I wrote here D. Now it's still the same thing because A is already have a default value, but D doesn't have it, right?
So you are creating like in starting of the code like A equal to 0, B equal to 0, then at the 8 and 5.
Right, like what this thing is doing is when I call any functions, now this function is taking two parameters, right? A and B. Now what if I don't give them, right?
Right, but at starting you are declaring like 0, giving that 0.
Yeah, it's a default value so that your function won't break if user doesn't give any value, right? So for example, let's say I don't know how add function works. I just know there is an add function. So what I will do is just call it, right, for first time. So I will call it and it will be just give 0. Now if I didn't specify this equal to 0, it will be any error. Mandar, is there any doubt?
Yes, yeah, Prathamesh. So we need to either initialize in a that function method, or
Yeah.
you need to add in a method that is add 2 or 5,
Yeah,
right?
right. So either you specify default
Okay.
parameters or you have to pass them strictly.
So we can give there also like A equal to 7.
Okay.
Yeah, you can give any default value.
So at the end we don't declare that. If I declare at starting.
No, like you can give default value to ending parameters or
First parameter.
no, you can give for to first parameter, but if you are not giving a default value to first parameter, you can give it to the second. But if you are giving default value to the first parameter, then you have to give for second value to. Yeah, it's compulsory. Yes. No, actually, you can't say first parameter, but from wherever you start for giving default value, you have to give all of them after coming parameters. After that. So let's say there are 4 parameters C, D. Now, let's say I want to give default value to this C. C equal to 2, then we need to give default value to D2 equal to 3. This way. Now, this won't show any error, right? That's
Question here.
yes.
Suppose you have given a def and a function name can be same. Is it allowed?
Like another two functions with same name.
With same name.
Well, it can be done. Let's try it. I guess it may be show error if there is ambiguity.
No, but with different parameters. So I think it is allowed, right?
Yeah, it's like polymorphic.
So if can you please write and the particular line. So def add in bracket C. Okay, and in above 31 line, define B as 5.
D as
5.
5.
Okay, and in 36 line, give this 10. So which function it will call?
Let's see. Print C. Okay.
Error in warning.
Warning. It's just a warning.
Just
So it's returning second.
no, while plus 5. Okay, 10 plus 5.
Yes. So it's returning second one. So this is like
priority for the single variable first. If it is not mentioned,
let's move this to up. Yep. Okay, so yes. So now how Python works is it's going from top to bottom. So first it defines add equal to, like there is add function which is doing print C. But now it gets to know that there is add function with 2 different parameters which will add A plus B. Now it's getting overwritten with same variable name. Now if I make it this way, it don't. It's overriding it. Yep. Right. So it's just redefining our method, modifying our method. At first, add was printing C, but now add is printing any number plus 5. Good question. I haven't thought about it. now what else in functions? So you can write any logic here inside function. Let's say if I want to return if number is divisible by 2, so if a% 2 is equal to 0, then return true, otherwise return false, right? Let's try it. Yeah, it's okay. At 10. All right, we have to print it. All right, so the value this is returning true or false. We're not catching it in any variable, right? So if I write here c equal to, now whatever this function will return will get stored in this c. We have to print c. Yes, it's returning true because 10 is divisible by. Now it's an addition function, so all add, right? We have given it name add, so all this function should do is just return sum of this number, sum of these two numbers, return a plus b. So it shouldn't print, but it should return, right? Because the main purpose of a function is to just do calculations, not to do input output things like printing or taking input. Like it can do, but just as a function's basic definition is to do logical calculations. If I say 10 and 5, so here 15 is in C, so it's returning just addition. Same way you can create subtract or any kind of function to check anything. Now the return type of this function is dynamic. Whatever this return will have data type, this function will have its data type.
If I give that string, then it will be string.
Yes. So function, we don't have to define data type for function. We can define what it should return, but it's not on our scope in basic learning. So this can be done, but not necessary. So
And return statement is not mandatory.
no, if you don't write return, it will return none by
Yeah.
default. So if I, let's say I'll print here a plus b, now it's not returning anything, so we will print c. Now c is printing as none. So when a function doesn't have return statement, it will automatically return none.
I think that 15 is also printed and it is returning nothing.
Yeah, 15 is printed because we wrote print here.
Yeah.
So should we move on to lambda functions? Okay. Now what is lambda functions? As you can see, our add functions is doing only one thing. It's just returning a plus b. It's in one line. We are writing 2 lines for this function, right? So this can be done in one line using lambda functions. Lambda functions are functions which can be wrote in one line, and in instantaneous method we don't have to specify any name for it. Like right now we have add name. Let's say I'm writing another function which have same name, add. So add is equal to, now we are again defining function but in one line. So how to define lambda function is just use lambda keyword, lambda. What this function accepting is 2 parameters, a and b. Now I will write a comma b. These are its 2 parameters. Then colon, and what this function is going to return is a plus b. That's it.
This is in the form of syntax.
Yes.
Whatever variable you have to perform operations.
Yes. Yes. Now this is add function. We are just define add function in one line. Now if I print add and give it parameter a and b, let's say 2, 2. We'll just run it. So this 15 is from this above function and this 4 is from this lambda function, right? Now why to use this lambda function? Like we can write these longer functions, but when we have to just do operations in operations can be done in one line, so we don't have to write like give indentation or with 2 or 3 more lines, and this improves readability also. So the main purpose of using Python is most of its readability. It's like human language specifications. It can be easier to read. There are keywords like is not, which which are just similar to English. So it just improves readability of our Python code. Now let's say I have to return a cube. Let's say I have a function named cube. Now this accepts only one number I and will return I cube. Okay. Cube of let's say 2.
I think input as from user.
Yes, yes. Let's say I wrote here int and input. Okay. Now enter number. Let's say I want cube of 2. Enter. It's printing 8. So how is this working? So the innermost parentheses are input. So it will take input, which is 2. Now it's a string. Now we will convert it to int. Now it's 2 completely int, and then we'll pass it to our cube function. Now cube function is defined here. Right? Cube function will return this cube and print will print it. So it's clear. Huh? Whatever this will return, it can be like right now it's int, right? So you can print type also. Right. Yeah, obviously it will be integer. Whatever function is returning, it will be its data type. And here it's int. Okay. Now there are map filter and reduce. Map filter reduce. Let's say I have a string a equal to 1, 2, and 3. Now I want to create another string, sorry, another list B, which will hold a cube of these functions, or let's say square of this A list, which is 1, 4, and 9. Right. So what will be the like baseline to create this is using for loop, iterating over listing, and then appending each square to list B. Right. So this is our basic fundamentals of writing this code. Now we can use like create this list B for each square using map function. Now, map is an inbuilt function. What map does is it will take a function as its first argument. Let me write it. Map. So function as its first parameter. Sorry, function as its first parameter, and second parameter is value. Now whatever the value is, it will the operations will be performed on this value using this function. Now map aren't used most, this map filter and reduce, but it's just good to know. So you don't have to worry if it's getting bored, or just tell me if you don't understand that because so that will slow down. So let's create a list. Let's say C. Now C is equal to map. Now we'll provide a function. What our function should return is the square of numbers in list A, right? Now to write a function which will return square, we can either write a complete function using def keyword, def square, and then accept one value, then return in square. And we can write lambda also. So lambda will be perfect here, right? So we can just write in one line. So say lambda should take x, will return x square. Okay. So the first parameter is function.
Rajat, hello.
Yes,
Sorry. Actually, the client is asking me to join. So what I need to do?
Okay, so you can the meeting is being recorded, so you can leave, and I will share this.
Okay.
So you will have to do it on your own then, like you have to look at on recording and all. If you get any error, you can contact me.
Okay, sure then.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Bye.
So this value, iterable value in iterable data type. Now what's happening here? Now we are passing list A and a function. Now for each value 1, 2, and 3, this function will get applied on that value. Okay, so when let's say I will just write here, map in bracket. Now there is any function, and then there is a, let's say, value 1, 2 and 3. Now what happened here is this map function will run this function on each of these values. Let's say it will first run func of 1, then it will run func of 2, same way. So this is how map function works. Okay, so we pass function and a iterable data type. So the function will run on each value of that. Okay, so map can do operations on our iterable data types, right? So what we are currently trying to do is get a square of this list. What if you want to get a, let's say, cube of this list, or let's say add 5 just add 5 number to each element of this list. We have to do operation on each element of that list, right? So we can either write a for loop, iterate on each value and then write code for it. But otherwise we can just use map, which can do this all in one line. So map will just map this function on all over this list. Now I will check if b is equal to c. Now this should be same. This should return true, right? Because b is squares of a and c should also be squares of a. False. Why? Just a second. Remove this enter number input logic. Oh, right. List of C. Okay, now it's true. So what C returns is, it's a list, but it's not actually, it's a class object of map. So it can be called as map list. Let me print C and type of C. C and type of C.
So it will be always useful. As we have and the list, so this given type of C as a list.
No. Map function don't return list. So that was the confusion. I was saying it will return list, but it won't return list. It will return a map object. As you can see, when you print C, it's a object of this map function. Now this can be iterable. Now this C is also iterable. So we have to convert it this object into list. So what I did is typecasting.
We are converting.
Yes. So that's how map function works. Then there is a filter function. Now what filter function does is, let's say I want to only keep elements which are divisible by 2 or which are divisible by 3 or which have a specific value. Now that can be done using filter value. Now if we wrote a like normal for loop, so I will have to iterate on each element and will have to check if this element is divisible by 2 or is equal to any specific value, and then and only then append it to the next list, right? So this all can be done in filter function. Just write it. And let's say we have D. Now
Can we get the list values
yeah, well, that way you have to first create a list using user's input and then pass it to this function. Now okay, so let's say I have to create a list where the numbers are just odd from this A list. These odd numbers are 1 and 3. Now what I will do is reduce, sorry, filter, then function, right? This is also this like parameter for this filter also is, first parameter is function and the second is iterable data type. Now our function will be lambda. It will take any value x and will return if that value is odd. So what is odd value is, the remainder when we divide any odd value is should not be equal to 0 or should be equal to 1. Both can be done, right? So this is our logic, comma, iterable data type, which is A. Now I will print list of T. Same way as map, this should return data type of filter, like filter object in D. We have to convert it into list. Here, 1 and 3. Yeah, but we have to apply this function on each and every value, right? So let's say you have a list of 10 elements, let's say 100 elements. You have to write for loop for those 100 elements. Like you don't have to write for 100 times, but you still have to write 2 to 3 lines. But you can do it using one inbuilt function filter. Now, I guess yes, but it's working on only one single parameter at a time, right? So we have to iterate that function over 100 parameters. Sorry, 100 values. We have to call it for 100 times.
By using only lambda. The question was like we can use lambda also. Lambda also.
Yeah.
We are using filter.
Yeah.
So by if I want to use lambda, I need to give that lambda function to follow so one to one. So running
Yes. 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 So what our function is doing is function does only one part of logic. The logic is just say if the number is odd or not. But I have 10 elements, I have to check 10 times. So I have to call this function 10 times. So this function tell me this number is odd or not. So filter function is doing same for us. And if it's odd, then and only then take this one.
It will call only once.
Yes. No, but it will iterate for one value, it will call once. For every value, this function is going to call again and again. It will call again 10 times. It's doing same, but just in one line. If even if you wrote a follow.
This code is only one line, but it is calling another line.
Yes. Now there is a reduce. So I guess you can look up reduce on your, because it's just similar map filter. And reduce will, what reduce does is it just it takes 3 parameters. First is function, second is our iterable value, and the third one is the default value. So what default value is, let's say, should I repeat this? So if there is any problem, I can like solve it later whenever you get time. Okay. So let's say we have to add elements of this list. There is this 1, 2, 3. So the addition of this will be 6. So this can be done using reduce function. Now reduce isn't inbuilt function. We have to import it from tools. Okay. To get a single value from our iterable data type. Let's say I have like this list and I want a sum of this list, right? There is inbuilt function like sum, but I have to do it on my own. I have to iterate on each and every value of this list. So that's how reduce can work. Reduce will iterate on each and every value. Well, filter will return only specific values for which the function is returning true, right? So what filter is, so let's say I have a list, but I only want specific value. So what we are doing is I have 10 values, but I only want specific 5 values, which accepts my characteristics, my defined characteristics. Yeah.
Like a search.
Yes, like a search. So it's filtering, right? We are filtering specific elements from our big list. That's why it's a filter function. We are only accepting only few elements from our list. Map is just same, but it will iterate on all over the list and will create output for each and every element of our list. For our list, this can be much to take right now, I guess. But I guess I will just share documentations for this. I guess when you practice this, no, so you will get much more to know about it. So what work is written? What map is returning and what filter is returning. By the way, there is any if there is any problem in functions and lambda, please tell me, because that's important, right? Okay, sure. Right now, right? Okay, sure. I will repeat. So next is exception handling. So what is exception and why we need to handle it? So what is exception? Let's say I have a function which will return a division. If D, which will take A and B and will return A divided by B. Now, what can be the filling conditions for this division?
B is 0.
Yes, right. B 0. We cannot divide any number by 0. So if we try to divide any number by 0, Python will throw an error. Right. Divide, let's say 3 by 0. Okay. 0 division error, integer division or modulo by 0. Right. So we cannot divide it, or we cannot do modulo by 0. So B value shouldn't be 0. Now this 0 division error is an inbuilt error which shows us this is wrong, right? So for avoiding these errors in our runtime code, so like let's say you are taking input from user and then dividing it, user can input 0. Now as a programmer you can't say user that you don't have to input 0. What if he just did it? So you have to handle it somehow, right? So for that we use try and catch block. So it's being called as try catch in C++ Java, but here it's try and except in Python. I'll show you how it works. But before that, we'll just go through our lines, like how this error is being printed. Now, if we'll start from first line, trace back, most recent call last. Now, first, here as you can see, the error occurred in this file, d3.py with its path. Then on line number 57. So the error occurred on line number 57 in module. Now this line number 57 is calling div 3,0 functions. Div 3,0 function. Now again this function went this code went into this function and error occurred on line number 55 here in div. So div is a function name and this error occurred on line return A divided by B. So this is how you have to read errors, like where the error is occurring, from where it's passing values, and where is the origin for this error. So as you can see, the origin for this error is here, return A divided by B. So we have to handle this line. And what error is this is giving is 0 division error. Now how to handle it? So let's say user is user is giving B as a 0. Now we are passing it to our function, and what I will do is I will try to divide it. I will just try, then colon, and as it's a colon, it will have indentation. Right now, anything which can be filled can be written in this try block. Okay, and then we can catch this error using except. Now, what error are we expecting? It's a 0 division error, right? So we'll write except 0 division error. And if this error occurs, just print you can't divide by 0. So now this is how try catch block works. Now what try will do is it will try to execute this statement. Now try will get to know that this statement is throwing error. Now it will just get exit of this loop and will go to except, and then it will run this line.
So in star there will be multiple scenarios, right?
Yes. So we'll get to that, like trying to break more than one thing. I'll run it, and as you can see, the error isn't being displayed, but you can see you can't divide by 0. So except catch this error, 0 division error. Right now we're only catching this only one error, 0 division error. What if there is another error? So let's say there is a dictionary dk equal to 1 a. Now I want to print define it here. And now I want to print dk of 2 dictionary with key 2, but there is no key. 2 is not present in our dictionary. I'll try to run it. Now as you can see, there is a key error. So even though we wrote in each try block, this error isn't being catched, right? We are only catching 0 division error. So one try block can have multiple catch blocks, sorry, except blocks, which can be seen. So I will just write here except error, print Please provide correct key. Now I'll try to run it. Please provide correct key. So what happened is try is failing at this only one line. So it's getting exit of this try block and we'll look for this except. Now except zero division error. Zero division error doesn't match our error, but key error is matching our error. So it will just execute the code written in this key error scope, right? This except key error block. Now this line didn't even get executed. Why? Because the function is breaking from here only. It's getting out of this scope, and we'll just look for except and the error which just occurred. We'll look for it. Then we'll just print whatever the code here, print or execute whatever the code written in this except block. And now, what if there is also another type of error which you don't know about? Anything can be done, right? So you know there is a zero division error, you know there is a key error, but what if there is another error which you don't know about? So you can just catch any type of error using exception. Just write exception. If any exception occurs, just execute this code. Print exception occurs. Now, as you can see, we have key error defined, right? Except block for key error. But if I comment this both out, yeah, exception occurred. It doesn't care what exception it is. Just it's occur, so it will just execute this code. Well, this is not recommended to use exception because we are expecting some specific kind of error. And if we use exception, we are just ignoring the exception which are being occurred. It's just like laziness. So what exception is being occurred, which shouldn't be there, right? But it can be necessary at some regions for some reasons. Yeah. Yes, there is. So we'll get to that right now. So except exception. Let's say this is an exception is occurred. Now I want to print what exception did this occur, right? So what happening here is when try block is being executed, this code is failing. Now code is returning and object of exception. Now this object is being cast here. So we can store that object in another variable. Now what we are doing is catching this exception, and let's say I want to store this in as e. Now this exception is being stored in a variable e. Now what is this e? It's printing. Exception occurred. What we have, just a second, where is it? Printed e. E dot. Is two. Oh, right. So what happened is key error occurred, right? So the key was, yeah, key is being written. Let's say I comment this out. Yeah, there should be trace back. I have to look for it. Integer division or modulo by 0. So what this is doing is it's printing the message which is coming with that error. So how the error object is defined is, so there is an error, let's say key error. Now key error and message will be its key. For a zero division error, you have zero division error and message will be integer division or modulo by 0. So if we just write it will just print a message which is coming along with our error. Now let's say what is with trace back. Okay. What is this TV? Okay, so it's just returning message. Whatever the message is along with our exception. I guess I will have to look it up how to like get exactly what error has occurred. I'll see it and we'll tell you tomorrow. Okay. Now, let's say we will print this in here. Zero division user at Z. Print Z. Okay, so it's just printing the message which is coming along with our error. Integer division or model by 0. Now after this try and accept, there is finally. So there can be conditions like we have to try something, and if that doesn't happen, we have to we are executing code in accept. But if any of both things happen, if the code worked correctly or it got break, we finally have to do something. For example, let's say you have database connection, you are trying to retrieve some values. Even if there is any error occurred or there isn't any error and the function completed successfully, we have to close connection and all, right? So this can be done in finally. So finally we'll do finally we'll run every time. Whenever try or accept runs, it doesn't care will try get executed or accept get executed. It will just run every time. Print, it's done. See, here it's done. You cannot divide by 0. Let's say we are not providing it. So the try block is being executed correctly. It's done. So the error didn't occur, but still finally is being executed. That's how finally it's used. No, it's not for confirmation. It's neither mandatory, but it is used for like cleaning up. For example, when you try something, you know there is any error or there is any exception. Even if the error occurs or not, at the end you have to do something. Okay. You got the idea? Yeah, right. Tarifa. Now there is another thing which is else. Now, when will this else get executed? Else will only get executed if try is being executed. If there isn't any error, then and only then else will get executed. Now let's say we are dividing these two things, right? So I will store this result, this variable result. And now if and only if this result is being stored. So if it's not divided by 0, so we want to print this result. So I will print it here. Print result. Let's say you are doing some operation. You don't know if it will work or not. But if it will work, then I have to do something about it. So that thing I can write in else. So I don't know if this division will be successful or not. I don't know if user will give 0 or not. But if user doesn't give 0, user gives perfect values, which can be used to make a division. So I will print that division. But if user provides 0, then except will run and the else block will not run. It won't print the result. Okay, let's run. As you can see, we are in else, then 3, and it's done. Finally, it's being executed every day, regardless of the try is being executed or except is being executed. Finally, will always run. So that's how try except works. So this all we covered today. File management will do tomorrow. Is it okay? Because it's already almost 2:30. All right. Is there anything right? Functions, right? We have to repeat functions. I'll just stop this meeting. We'll get back to you.